In studio, tuko naye City Muga kama kawaida, but then again we are joined by our esteemed guests this particular morning to have this very important conversation. Let me start by introducing Professor Herman Manyora. He's a political analyst, and with him today is Willis Otieno, a lawyer and the deputy leader of Safina party. Gentlemen, welcome to Radio Generation once again.
Thank you very much.
Professor, let me start off with you. First of all, how have you been since the last time we met here? A very good conversation that we had.
Yeah, I've been okay, thank God. Yeah, the normal challenges of old age.
Yeah.
But we are managing.
Yes. Willis, the last time you were here, you actually told me some very interesting facts about what will happen once, not when, but not if, but when you take over the reins of power in this country. And one thing you said that your party is committed to doing is you'll stopping the illegal debts that this country has. And I have never stopped thinking about that conversation that we had. And I went everywhere I've been going, nimekuwa nikiambia watu unajua tukiacha kulipa hizi madeni tutakuwa na pesa mingi sana kwa hii country. Like right now we're having issues with capitation.
Yes.
Yeah, some of these things will actually be taken care of by these kinds of moves.
Exactly, and I still hold that position.
Yeah.
This country will not progress economically until we deal with the debt monster. And that debt monster is informed by illegal debts, debts that were taken without following the laws of Kenya.
Yes.
Some of them ended up in people's individual pockets. And yet the obligation to pay is with the people.
There's actually one debt that CT says never reached Kenya. Actually never even reached Africa. Ilipotelea tu mahali
uko Qatar. From JP Morgan,
yes,
it went to an account in Qatar. $1 billion US. That is 100 billion Kenya shillings. That is just Eurobond one.
Yeah.
And yet the obligation to pay is lying here with the people of Kenya. And there were 7 other Eurobonds. We don't know how much of that got into the country.
Yes.
And there are still more that they are taking. So are you going to mop funds from this country to pay for those debts which never came here? The sums never circulated in our economy.
Yeah.
That is what is killing this country. And legacy politicians don't want to talk about that.
Yes.
Because you'll find them in those private accounts where the money went. They will not pay.
Let me ask the good professor what he thinks about that situation, because I am ever since I found out that particular fact of the amounts of money that have been borrowed and probably never reached us, or stolen or misused or wasted, for me, I'm finding it hard to sleep every single night when I realize that actually we are our own problem more than we actually think we are. We knew we are our own problem from the beginning, but right now we are realizing that there's a bigger problem to the kinds of people that we are.
I think this problem is bigger than my friend Willis and his party boss, Jimmy Wanjigi, think. It's part of an international system. It's part of the capitalist system. It's not something you can deal with in one blow, certainly not as a country, because it's an international system. It's a very complex web. That's why any leader who comes up anywhere in the world, especially the third world, and tries to run out of this system, they always get into trouble. It does not matter how long it takes, but the West will always catch up with them and slaughter them.
Just to be sure, are you blaming the Bretton Woods system, or
it is an international system? Beyond, Bretton Woods system is part of it.
So it's just another parallel one.
Let's make it simple. Let's break it down.
Okay.
Respectful of how complex they are. They don't need to be city mover in thinking.
Yeah.
Let's say you take over a country,
yes,
an African country, and it has a debt of about 12 trillion. I think Kenya is around there. And then then you realize there is a lot of wealth under the soil somewhere in Taita Taveta.
Yes.
Then you go for that, mine it in a year or two, and pay off all the debts. You think you'll get peace? You'll be removed from power, because you must always be part of that system. You must always be indebted, and the debt trap is part of what fuels the international capitalist system. No country can be allowed to get out of that trap. You must be there.
You want to tell me there's no country on earth that has escaped that trap?
Of course, you must be a very inconsequential country.
Such as?
The major players of the world. The major player. And those who try end up being slaughtered somewhere. That's how bad it is. But for us, what perhaps Willis and his boss are saying is actually true, and for us, it is crude. It is crude. Being part of the debt system is one thing, but getting the money and putting it in your pocket is quite another different thing. Of course, if you read books like Lords of Poverty and so on and so forth, international, you realize that there is a lot of it really doesn't reach the countries. That's obvious, including foreign aid and all those kind of things. But for us, I think we engage the excess gear. That's what I think they are talking about.
One thing I must say is this. I agree with Prof to an extent, but we should not fear. What we should first do is divide our debt pockets, because this odious debt is found in different pockets. There is the domestic debt component, which they've taken debt illegally here in Kenya, has got nothing to do with international partners. And the domestic debt is now almost 6-point-something trillion. Which international...
It's almost 50% of the
50% total debt
portfolio that we have.
So which international system are you upsetting? This is now our own local Kenyans enslaving us. So deal with that one. If somebody took domestic debt illegally, don't pay. Number two, we have the sovereign bonds, the so-called Euro bonds. These are the syndicated loans that are taken between Kenya government and private commercial banks internationally. Has got nothing to do with the government. The Euro bonds fall in that category. Then we have the multilaterals and the bilaterals. The ones that now will fall within the China Exim Banks, the World Bank, IMF. Those ones, in fact, when you go into this odious debt, you'll find that in this particular instance where Kenya is today, they constitute the minutest component. In fact, World Bank, for example, they do development funding. A World Bank funded project, the stringent conditions are such that you will not find the money will be odious. Our problem is this sovereign bonds and domestic bonds. That is where the main problem of Kenya is. So when we say we are going to do it, we'll tackle it, we mean it. Mozambique, when Kenya took Eurobond, Mozambique took Tuna Bond. Some $2 billion US, just like the Kenya Eurobond one.
And they refuse to pay.
They refuse to pay. They don't. The court say don't pay. Mozambique is still here. It has not died.
Hakuna mtu amewachukua.
Hakuna mtu amechukua pale because in fact the consequence of it is this. The consequence is that Credit Suisse, which was the commercial bank that was financing that arrangement, collapsed. Its own executives were arrested in their own country, not in Mozambique. So when there's criminality, what we lack is courage to confront it. And legacy politicians will not do it. Why will they not do it? Because you'll find they're also complicit. It is not like we are saying we are going to abandon, for example, a World Bank debt. That's when you can say maybe the international consequences because you followed your laws, the debt was taken legally. Then you upset many things. But when it is these ones, these commercial arrangements between individuals in Kenya and commercial banks abroad, or individuals in Kenya and domestic banks in Kenya, don't fear them. Safina party, we are very clear. We are saying we will not pay. And all I'm seeing, when we stop paying, we will be 2.3 trillion richer. Instantly. Because we now have the 2.3 trillion that we are using to pay for debt this year will be available to us. And our focus is very clear. With 2.3 trillion shillings available to the government, what can't we do?
Professor has did you just call Mozambique?
Hold it. 2.3 trillion.
2.3 trillion. That is the amount of money we are paying this financial year as debt finance.
Which means it's almost 50%
of our budget. Actually, it's more than 50%.
In terms, don't even look at the budget. Look at it is in terms of your revenue collection. Because if we use this the last financial year's projection, they collect around 2.5 trillion. This year we are paying 2.3 trillion. So it means of your revenue collections, what you collect as tax,
100% is good.
Almost 100%, 90-something% is going to debt finance.
And even much better.
If you maintained it.
Much better is the fact that now that will be strictly for capital.
Yes.
Because whatever you have, most of it is for recurrent salaries and the rest and repayment of loans and what have you. Now this one will be a chunk you can dedicate to development. I understand you, but I also want to alert you to the fact that the people you are calling domestic are the same players on the international scene. You touch one here, you touch the international structure. It's not as simple as... let me tell you this. When Ruto and Gachagua were coming to power, I remember especially Gachagua, they said they were going to have a commission to deal with state capture. You remember that?
Yeah.
Even dealing with cartels in coffee, probably too tough for them. Leave alone the cartels at the national level. This is not something you can solve within the normal political matrix. In other words, you take over power as a president, and you come through a democratic election. You are working within the confines of the constitution and the laws of the land. You have parliament, you have the judiciary. All these structures you have, you cannot do what they are saying. Though all these institutions are put in place to ensure that system survives. That system of theft.
Okay, but he has just given a perfect example of Mozambique.
That's, I told you, unless you are dealing with fringe places, nobody can allow Kenya to do that. Kenya is not Mozambique. You touch Kenya, you are touching part of the international system.
Why do you think that can't happen in Kenya?
What I'm trying to say is this: unless you come up with an overhaul, you can't do it.
Please explain.
A major overhaul. Let me put it this way.
An overhaul of what?
Let me put it this way so that City Muga does not ask me many questions. You know, it's still in the morning. I haven't even taken breakfast. These things you are saying can only happen if you have a madman in State House.
Mad how?
A madman. Somebody beyond Magufuli. And let's not talk about Magufuli because it is too early again to talk about people. Somebody worse than Magufuli.
Okay.
I rest my case.
We're here.
I rest my case.
Magufuli represents an ideology.
A big shift. Big radical shift.
You know, Prof, what I'm saying, what we are saying is this.
The legs on which the politics of this country stands, you must cut them.
You know, Prof, what we are dealing with, this is a revolution.
Yes.
This is not politics as usual.
The revolution. Are you coming as a revolution?
This is an economic revolution. What's the question of our next election?
It's the economic revolution cannot work without a political revolution.
Let me just explain.
Yes.
When our young people came out last year, and
yes,
even this year,
yes,
the trigger of that was not a legacy politician mobilizing them.
It was the finance bill.
It was the finance bill.
Yes.
And the finance bill is about the economy.
Yeah.
And the finance bill had promised them more taxes, increased taxes, charges, and levies. And they resisted it on their own. So, in my view, I do not believe that when we say we will not pay this odious debt, the Kenyan people will say we must pay it. What we'll be telling them is that what cost you to go out last time was this finance bill that was raising your charges, tax, and levies to pay for this illegal debt. So this is a revolution. And this revolution is sweeping away all these legacy politicians. So whoever gets in there, in fact, when Safina gets in there, we will not be getting in there and we expect the room to remain the same. We must drain the swamp. We must come up with very radical, drastic measures immediately to deal with the problems of the people. Because I can assure you, where I sit, anybody gets into office in Kenya today, if you cannot deal with the debt monster, by the 6th month, we'll be back to June 25th. They'll be saying we are coming to State House. Because even you, if you want to maintain the same political system that you say cannot allow it, you will be forced to come up with your own finance bill and increase the taxes. while the economy is shrinking, you are trying to increase charges, taxes, and levies. People will come for you. As we are very clear from the beginning, we are not being elected there for a Christmas party. We are being elected there for a revolutionary agenda, to economically release the people of Kenya from the burden. And we've identified the chains that are hanging on their necks to be this debt. If we cannot do it, we have no business competing for political office. So that is the only promise. Otherwise, I may as well be setting up myself to be hung by the people of Kenya.
Professor, I feel like it's more or less what UDA, was or the Kenya Kwanza government was promising us before election last. That time they campaigned, because they campaigned on certain issues that Kenyans felt like hii ni yetu, boda boda, mama mboga, and the things that they mentioned at that particular point, bottom up, and people literally bought into that idea because people felt as though it's going to improve their pockets, the economy, their welfare. So if this is the one thing that can if we're going to transform the economy by 2.3 trillion overnight, isn't that
overnight?
Yeah, but what I'm trying to say is that wakiingia hivi wakiekelea Biblia chini na ile sword chini. See, that is what you mean.
Atulipi.
Isn't that something that is worth checking out?
Is what, but I'm saying,
Yeah.
How practical is it? It's more difficult than they think. It is. You see, why did the bottom-up thing fail? You think Ruto was deliberately lying?
But it worked.
He wasn't lying.
It worked
And
to the point of voting.
I talked about it. I said, what David India and Ruto are saying, if it was to work, you are to dismantle capitalism. Okay? Because if you are going to empower boda riders and all those people, mama bogas, it meant they were able to have their own petrol stations and their own supermarkets and ultimately their own banks. So were you introducing a socialist order by dismantling capitalism?
Yeah.
It's bigger than they thought. So I don't blame them. They thought you could do it. Within the confines of capitalism, some things cannot happen. My friend Willis will also care to remember I said, so long as the structures that you are using, CT Muga, remember I've said the judiciary, there are the prisons, there's the police,
legislature.
All those institutions are meant to support capitalism.
Okay.
You touch one, they all come for you. Therefore, you say you are not doing things, people move to court. The courts block you. You do it by force, the police arrest you. They take you to prison. All these institutions are meant to support capitalism. You cannot touch one part and the rest keep quiet.
Okay.
They'll come for you. So it's not easy. It's doable, but within a strictly revolutionary order.
Willis, you mentioned that this is more or less the beginning of a revolution.
Yes.
Actually, I feel like it's already an ongoing process of revolution. How would you deal with the situation that Prof is bringing up? The judiciary, legislature, prisons, and so on. Yeah.
Last time when I was here, maybe I repeated for the benefit of Prof.
Yes.
I believe you're not going to do it just on one facet and leave the other. And part of the revolution, you look at the instruments of oppression that we have here, it's the police. The police will not remain intact, that they get orders from above. Our position is as Safina party, at the command level at the division, people should elect their own OCPD.
The sheriff.
We are electing our OCPD. So that you hand power back to the people. When the constitution talks about that the police should be subject to subordinate civilian authority, that civilian authority will be the people of Kenya at an election going out to elect their OCPD at the divisional level, who is in charge of security in that division. So you are dismantling the structures. We are not going to just say we are doing this and that the support system that has supported this oppression continues. We are saying at every police station, we must have a civilian oversight board. If in a health center, we have health center boards. In every school here, we have a board of management. And those are service providers. The police is meant to be a service. How can the police still operate as a service without an oversight board that oversees a police station? We are going to say civilians constitute oversight boards for every police station that is responsible to oversight what the officers in that police station are doing. So we must dismantle this system. If we cannot do it, then we have no business offering ourselves for public office. I can as well continue being a private lawyer and surviving in that system.
In that capitalist
system. This one is about dismantling structures. And if there are Kenyans who believe in this change, that we want to really actualize the fruits of our liberation, economic liberation, you come to Safina. But if there are those who still think that these structures are so strong, they are so powerful, we cannot defeat them, you have legacy politics to continue with.
But Willis, if I understood the Prof, it's not that they cannot be dismantled. It is approaching them with the sense of reality of what they actually are. Because something that has been entrenched for as long as some of these systems have been entrenched, they become part and parcel of almost our national DNA.
Yes.
And it is not those who are practitioners and those who are determined to maintain that status quo who are our problem. The problem is this individual who is the sovereign, because they align with that system. They talk against it, but they actually align with that system. Call it the tyranny of habit. So if we cannot get these fellows to actually understand with clarity what it is that is being spoken of, I mean with clarity, the shift and the revolution comes in people willing to abandon the way they have understood the status quo and how they fit into it, because we fitted into it and we have found ways of surviving within it.
Yes.
So you're asking people to pull themselves from that particular system and to uproot. That in my mind is where the difficulty is. Why I say this is because from what I have observed of our politicians, they are very sensitive to the movements of the public. When they sense the public is moving in a certain direction, they tend to move with the public. When they sense they can get away with something, and what are they getting away from? From the public, they will try and get away with it. So the public, and they are understanding this concept and understanding the pain points, the point of realizing that what you're saying actually is the one thing that will bring this relief that they all seem to seek. Because figures confuse me. When you mention a billion, me, I'm actually confused. Sincerely, 9 zeros. I can't.
internalize.
You mention a trillion, you've lost me.
Completely.
You've lost me. It's now an academic subject. You might as well be discussing quantum physics, which I don't even understand at all. But if this is something that the Mwananchi can actually understand and realize, actually this thing is not that complicated. It has been explained why what we refer to as the Kibaki model was useful, with one simple example. When free education was offered, what isn't said but is clearly understood, some money that you were using for education is now freed up.
Stimulus.
Yes, so your disposable income is immediately increased, so you're able to do more. Now, you tweak the financial system by not borrowing from it, and so now the banks have to go to their original function and business of buying and selling money from individuals. They will actually hawk it. Now the individual is able to get even more capital. Suddenly there's more money, and the stimulus you speak of is set in motion, and we see the economy moving. Now that has to be tied up with what you're saying. When you talk trillion, haki.
But again, you see, Muga, what you're saying is correct. That one can be done. Say, we as Safina Party, when we take over, we shall not borrow. Not domestic, not foreign.
International.
We will not borrow. And we will do that. The moment you stop borrowing at the domestic level, government stops competing with business people. And credit is immediately available to business people, and that will spur economic growth. You'll get more taxes. You can even service the other debts, which you might say you don't want to pay, but I believe at some you'll continue paying.
You only said the illegal ones.
Yes.
The legal ones will be paid.
Yes, let me tell you this. I want to show you how difficult these things are. You need to be with the people to dismantle those structures. And the Muga has told you, people it's in the DNA of people somehow that these things are necessary. I'll give you a good example. When we were working towards a new constitution, Kenyans were very clear about the provincial administration, the chief. We were so sure. If there's anything we were sure of, it was the removal of the chief. Now, so we got to Bomas and talked about it and put it down. But when the rubber was meeting the road, we are now facing Kenyans in a referendum. If we remove chiefs from there, this bill will not go through. The same people who had been, like what you are saying, same people who had been against the chiefs will be mobilized by the chiefs to reject that constitutional change. So it's not as easy as you might think. The police you want to dismantle, you think they'll just sit and let you dismantle them? They will not. The institutions you want to dismantle to bring about that change. Inbuilt in those institutions is resistance, self-preservation, protection. They are aware they are not very good, and people might come for them. So they have self-preservation as part of their existence.
True.
Yes. So it's not very easy for you to dismantle these structures.
You know, Prof.
If Willis today I say, okay, you are a young man with a lot of energy and serious brains, and everybody knows, I give you one sector and I tell you dismantle the cartels in that sector. Then you'll come back to this studio and tell Manyora and CT and Nani, hey, Kumbe, you knew. These things are not easy. I know, I've been dealing with some I know.
You're dealing with a cartel at the moment.
They are not easy.
Prof, you've been dealing with cartel.
My friend. My friend.
But you see, Prof, we are not going to leave
My friend
ourselves.
Kashaga went to the coffee sector. He realized it was not easy.
You know, Prof, we are not going to lead ourselves that it's a walk in the park.
Yeah.
We are not simply saying that it will be, we walk in there and they'll clap for us, hallelujah, hosanna, dismantle us. We know it's a fight, it's a resistance. That's why we are calling this an economic revolution.
It
So
has to be a
we
political
anticipate.
revolution.
No, it's economic revolution.
I want to be your
But
consultant.
let me
Just a
just
moment.
let me just finish. Let me finish. Let me finish my train of thought.
Yeah.
We are not expecting the system to sit back and watch. That is why we are calling it an economic revolution. And a revolution, it's a contestation, it's a struggle. The system you are trying to uproot will fight back. That is why for us, our greatest talk are the people. Once the people own this conversation and they see it as their quest, there is no system that can surmount the energy of the people when it comes to people's issues.
Now you are getting it.
Right?
Now you are getting it.
And if the people were to buy, let me say, when the people will have bought this, because I believe they've bought it, to the extent that we saw the numbers that came out last year and this year, not mobilized by any politician,
But themselves.
Not mobilized along tribal lines, but on issues that even Ruto's response has been to start holding these economic empowerment programs. This is purely a direct response to what the young people had posed. That now we are discussing the economy. We are now moving everybody to discuss issue-based politics, not personalities. That to me is a success, and that gives me faith in the people of Kenya. That now we are ready for battle with this system. And we are not saying we are going to ignore the political. That's why we are now organizing a political party, for example, as a Safina. We are organizing ourselves as a political party and a political movement. As a vessel to help us in this quest to dismantle the system. That system is so weak. The young people have tested it. We've stretched it. We can tell how far it can go. And when we're in office, I assure you, Prof,
I'll be part of that system.
yes,
That of that
yes.
Are you going to vote for your sheriff?
I hope they will not. I hope they will not. They will
You
not.
imagine.
Me as
You imagine. We cannot deny you. Prof, we can't deny you. You've made a great contribution to this country. You cannot ignore it in terms of opening up the public space for
See, Nani,
discussion.
I wanted to tell you this as free consultation.
This one I don't pay.
I know Kenyans, you pay crooks. Straightforward people you can't pay. You saw even Kina Uhuru were going to get consultants to come and tell them things City, Muga and Manyora would have told them for free over breakfast at experts, Kina Blair and the other. Now I hear this government is spending $1 billion in the US over things City and I can now you see. So I'll do it for free because you don't pay straightforward people. You are talking about very good things. But you want to reach Kenyans through the mind, through the head, let me put it that way. You must organize through politics. You are talking economics instead of talking politics. Your organization must be a political organization. You must create a political movement that then brings the economic miracle. But you people, you are talking about an economic miracle at the level of the intellect. It cannot succeed. Not at all. You cannot reason with people about things. You can only mobilize people the way Mao Zedong did to bring about the Chinese Revolution. In other words, the people must be mobilized. And the mobilization of the people is a political issue, not an economic issue.
That I agree.
Don't pay me.
I'll not pay you for that. But as I said, the greatest political mobilization in the history of the earth in Kenya took place last year. And I take hope in the fact that mobilization was based on the economy, not on politics, as Prof says it. So we are building onto that. The Kenyan people are already there. When you say that these things we are discussing are only appealing
by the way,
let me finish.
I'm doing free consultation.
No, I agree with you.
Prof, let him finish his thoughts.
My thought. Now you keep disrupting me, and it's
okay. Continue.
Sometimes people always assume that the masses, the Kenyan people, are not fully aware or are not intelligent enough to comprehend these complex issues. I've been on the ground, and I can tell you that these issues that we think are complex, Kenyans understand them. Even the question of debt, they understand this question of debt. They are now discussing the economy. Even old grandmothers in the village can discuss with you the issue of cost of living. Because they know I bought a packet of cooking oil at 50 bob yesterday. Today I've gone back, it is 80 shillings. They are discussing it in their own language. And that is why, to me, I believe the greatest mobilization in Kenya, in the history of the earth, took place on the economy. If the masses didn't understand it, they would not have self-mobilized like they did last year and this year on those questions. So the ground is right. The people are already discussing the economy. It is now that we are saying, let's now talk political movements, political formations to address that question. And, Prof,
yes,
the arc is ready.
The arc is ready.
The arc is ready.
Prof, I feel like, perhaps legacy politicians and legacy political ideals are the ones that have probably put us on these particular issues that we're having right now and we're fighting since last year.
Yes.
Perhaps if you have that shift that he's talking about, and not just for, Safina party, but any other party that actually comes with those kinds of ideals, are you trying to say that that is completely impossible? Like, we cannot have a shift in this country just because it hasn't probably happened anywhere else?
No, it has happened in many other places, in some other places. What I'm saying is not as simple as Safina party is trying to put it. That's all I'm saying. I'm saying you need to have political organization.
Yes.
You cannot have a conversation with the people of Kenya on matters of debt and the economy and etc. and hope you'll realize change. That is far-fetched. But I also wanted to tell him when he didn't give me the chance to offer free services, is that it is quite possible to organize and carry the people of this Kenya into one clean soup of a revolution. It's quite possible. The only problem I have with the politicians of this country, including my friend Willis,
No, there are two different politicians. They are legacy politicians.
They think, whether a legacy or other,
I don't-
they think it is easy. They think they will just talk themselves into it and it works. They can't work. It requires two things. One, very serious thinking. And that serious thinking will lead you to the second thing, which is serious organization and mobilization. But begin with very serious thinking. I don't have a very big brain, but I am sure I have the answers. I know how it can be done.
Okay.
If some politicians were to invite City Muga and Manyora to help them, I am telling you, even if Ruto were to hear what I know, he will be very worried.
City actually said that.
I know what I
he doesn't
can do
want
to
advise.
mobilize these young people in this country. And then you can do the things my friend Willis is saying.
Yeah.
But them, they think they will discuss it at an intellectual level. Nobody will follow you. Only
Prof.
Muga and I will follow you.
Prof.
But we only carry 2 votes. And you need like 10 million.
Prof, is it possible
Yes.
that if, through the miracle you're talking about, they happen to capture power
Yes.
as a Safina party?
Yes.
And once they get there, start implementing some of this, very radical changes they're talking about. Because I'm almost very certain that they shall have the people behind them.
Yes.
Fine, judiciary might come down on them. Legislature the same. But once you have 50 million Kenyans behind you, like they did in the last year and in this year's protest, you want to tell me that we cannot achieve that thing that they're probably...
That's exactly what I'm saying. Have the people with you.
Yes.
But you cannot reason to get the people with you the way Safina is trying to do.
Yes.
You need to mobilize
Politically.
politically
You know,
for
when you
people to be with you, for
Yeah.
you to achieve that. But if let's just say you somehow, there is Jimmy Wanjigi and Willis on one side, there is Manyora and the City Muga on the other side. I think you are on top of the ticket. Let me be the running mate. And then there
He actually said he wouldn't advise the government.
There is Ruto and somebody else. There is Gachagua. All these people are there.
Yeah.
And then there's a context. And then you sell your ideas, you are Safina, and then you win. You become president, you become
DP.
deputy president. I know you will not forget me. The two of you are my close friends. I want to assure you there's nothing you'll do. You can't change this country.
Prof is a comfortable
You cannot change this
politician.
country.
He's actually a legacy.
Legacy
No, you cannot
that's why he has
change. You
operated
cannot
all these years.
change. The structures are you can't dismantle those structures merely by being in State House.
Prof,
That's what I'm saying. It's very difficult.
Prof, my main problem with you.
That's why I've always advocated for a national conversation that will produce a national charter.
Prof,
That national charter will answer the question of why are we where we are instead of where we ought to be.
look at Prof's proposed solution.
Yeah.
What have we not had in this country with the legacy politicians? How many national conversations have we had? We've had all of them.
We've never had the one.
No, we've had this conversation, these dialogues from Boma's process, the pre-Boma's process,
Not the one I'm having.
to NADCO, to now CG, BBI, BBG. We've had them, but they are all the same. That to me is just the language of legacy politicians.
Yeah.
To numb the masses. You think something is going on when nothing is happening. So you must adopt a radical approach. Deal with the system radically. You're not going to talk yourself into a revolution. You think that you're going to have a conversation and achieve economic rights. The same system is talking about that has captured the economic sector. And they will negotiate, you'll dialogue with them to hand over to you power and to empower the people of Kenya. It will not happen. It must be a radical shift.
Yeah.
And that radical shift will not take place in any boardroom. It can only take place in a ballot, not a boardroom. But Prof is advocating for let's have a boardroom conversation, a conference setup.
I didn't say that.
It will not work.
I didn't say that.
You
No,
know
I didn't
So-
say that. No, I
the
didn't say
discussion.
I did not.
No, Willis, finish what you're saying. You haven't finished what you're saying.
Yeah, what I was saying is that what as we are agitating for, what we are calling for, what we are marketing to the people, it's a radical shift that will be actualized at the ballot. The young people showed us that they are so impatient They're even willing to do it outside the ballot, even outside the conference rooms. They can do it on the streets. And if you look at those numbers, no one can ignore it.
You can't, but even when you're on the streets, it's a formation. It is a form of a gathering. It may not be what you call your quintessential boardroom meeting. But the discussion about a change and a revolution involves a cognitive process.
Mm-hmm.
For people to get to a point where they have internalized this, and the process of what they need to overcome to actually get to a point where they realize, okay, this is what we really want. The demonstrations of last year were a good point where you kick off that process. These young people seem to have gone through this cognitive process and figured, we know where our pain point is, where our problem is, and we want to do this. But the larger population of Kenya, unfortunately, if you're older, you'll be jaded. Because you've heard, you've seen, and you're asking, what's going to be the difference here? How is it that this is going to change? Because it is just as the legacy politicians have words, so do the new politicians like yourself. It's words that we are hearing, and you are telling us things that I could tell you this is theory. Because one, you talk about change, yet in a Kenyan environment, the first thing you're going to be dealing with is the cognitive process of people's mind. First of all, let's look at a simple concept like history. What is the political history that that particular community deal with, and what is that they consider to be important to them? Just history. Then you're going to look at the identity. How does this person, it's identity politics that I'm bringing in here. How does this person identify themselves within the greater confines of our politics? Then you're going to ask, what are my immediate survival needs? The cognitive process is where these things are looked at, these things are sorted out in the mind, and the messaging becomes key. The concept of odious debt is an excellent concept. As a concept, the means by which this message is driven home is not by the constant mentioning of it. No. That the debt exists has been understood. How it relates to me, the interpretation, that's the next phase.
Breaking it down, yes.
Yes, and then beyond breaking it down, now the implementation. Now it could be a trade secret which you don't want to talk about on air, but there is that little detail of how will you go about it. This enables the cognitive process that people have to arrive at a point and say, actually this thing is actually possible. As of now, in the mind, it is nice to hear, but it is actually not possible. And in that respect, the Prof is right, because you want to change. Real revolution is not in the streets. Those young people were there because their minds had changed. It's in the mind. Now, to get people to that position, not where they see it and say, we're changing, but where it is consistent and nothing moves them away from it. Your identity will sway you. Your identity in our political scheme will sway you. Your history with our politics will sway you. Then your needs will sway you. How do you align these things so that when the mind approaches this matter of change, they realize, actually, there's no option. This is the only way out.
That is now the political campaign.
I'd like to believe, and that is why I'll think like I'm, a common monent, because that's exactly who I am. I'd like to believe that Safina probably hasn't started their campaign officially to tell us exactly how some of these things will be achieved. And I also like to believe that's why the United Opposition also hasn't given us something substantial.
There's something like the United Opposition.
Yes. Akina Kalonzo, Martha, DAP, akina watu wote, akina Gachagua.
The loyal, they call themselves the loyal opposition.
Okay,
the legacy opposition.
L
United
stands for
Opposition.
legacy.
Yeah.
Right.
So I'd like to believe that there's a campaign period that is actually coming up, where we shall actually be given these manifestos by all these particular political leaders, so that we can actually get something, so that we can make that decision when the time comes. Now, perhaps you can demystify that, because you had just started talking about the campaign period. Yes. Is there a proper strategy? Because I believe that Kenyans have seen it all at this particular point.
No, they haven't.
Bro, we have.
They haven't.
Aki tumeona.
Believe me, they haven't.
That is why there is a bloody revolution.
Let me tell you why I believe Kenyans have seen it. I remember in July 2022, with Jimmy Wanjigi, Safina. Jimmy had done a forensic audit of our debt situation, and he was launching the report. I'm telling you, that was 1 month to the elections. No one was interested. In fact, he had to go and buy advertisement space for him to get media coverage. Today, debt is very casually discussed almost every day on the front pages of all the media houses. Whereas 2-3 years ago, people are even telling us that's such a narrow agenda. What are you talking about? Kenyans can't understand those concepts. That cannot.
July of 2022.
2022. July 2022, 1 month to the elections.
Yes.
And we were talking about the odious debt. It was a concept that no one could even relate to. They didn't even see how it connects to the elections that were coming. And we were saying, in fact, that was more like our exit from that contest, because we were saying we had done this in preparation for the elections, but because Chebukati had done his thing, let's share this information publicly. So he released this saying, this is the state of the nation. And the person who is going to be elected, if you don't confront this debt monster, you will face a revolution from the people. In 2022, you're speaking, July. He repeated the same sentiments in 2023, December. In January 2024, at our former Secretary General's funeral, he said the same things. Today, the revolution came in June. Today, Kenyans are discussing it. So sometimes some of these ideas, when it is still at the formative stages, it may appear like such a far-fetched issue. It does not connect. How many times were we told, too narrow an agenda? This the economy. The people cannot relate to the economy. You must mobilize politically. People are even telling us, organize along tribal lines. That's the easiest. Right? Go and become a Kigogo in your tribe, then you come and talk to the nation. But that's legacy politics. Right now, those economic questions, you cannot open the first 3 pages of any newspaper. You cannot finish any news bulletin without discussing the economy. And Kenyans have owned it. Now is when we can go back to political formations. And the campaigns will come.
Yeah.
That is when you'll see, I have faith, and I may be naive, but I have faith that for the first time, Kenyans will be engaging on their politics based on what is your economic promise. Not just a promise, but a tangible promise. Is it believable? Is it workable? What is the commitment? Where is our take home? When you say I'm not paying odious debt, hey, it's not just a promise. From which date? Hey, don't just tell us you're not paying odious debt. From which date? When Safina Party we say we are not going to charge VAT on fuel, from which date are we not paying? They are going to question us, test us. They are going to debate with us. And Prof, I assure you, in the fullness of time, you will see the quality of the political contestation we are going to have the coming elections. It will be far much enriched than the last one. The Hustler Dynasty narrative started that idea-based politics, issue-based politics. It is now going to be refined better in the coming elections. Because they said it's Hustler versus Dynasty, they got into office, and when you say Kenyans buy it, they can lie to. When the Hustler Dynasty, the Hustler got to office, he failed on his economic promise. The same people whom he lied to took to the streets to cancel him.
Yep.
So there are consequences. Already we know there are consequences to political lies. The people can always come for you. So in the next contestation, they will say now that last time you were lied to, this time we want to see tangibles. They'll debate with you. And whoever they are going to choose, and it will be Safina, they will hold us to account. They will hold us to a higher level of account. That if we don't deliver, in 6 months they're not feeling any impact. Why? These Kenyans are impatient.
Prof,
Yes.
Tell us about that laugh.
You know, it's very interesting. You see, these things my friend is saying, they are very good things. But within the context of politics, they are very difficult to achieve. Yeah. You cannot have a conversation with the people in politics. You need to mobilize people. Even when we talk of the GenZ revolution, it's not about the finance bill per se. It's not about the economy in terms of we are discussing. No, the young men are looking at a future that has no promise for them, and looking at the people responsible for this mess. That is politics. It is not about, if you increase this tax, then we are not feeling well, or if you add this. No, it's a whole big thing to do with the politics, about life, about where we are, where we ought to be, who is responsible for this mess. That was a GenZ revolution, a reset button. And therefore, it cannot work for you, Willis, if you think people will be discussing the economy and the foreign debt. It can't work. And you see, even Ruto did not lie. To say that Ruto lied to people is also to miss the point. There's no way Ruto lied to anybody. Ruto thought these things could work. Then he discovered
he genuinely thought.
Yes, he thought they could work.
Like
then
deep down his heart.
realized that there's no way Ruto lied to anybody. He didn't lie. Even when you listen to the president today, there are things he still believes he can do. It's not lying. He believed in the hustler thing. He realized it cannot work. To some extent, he realized. But there's an extent to which he thinks it can work. Even when I listen to him, there are things that can't work, but he thinks they can work. So it's not a question of lying. He never lied to anybody. It is not as easy as you might think.
Let me ask this question.
Unless you dismantle the structures.
The way Kenyans understand issues, what would you say is the mental model that Kenyans have? And I'm speaking generically here, where you can say a Kenyan looks at a concept like, say, corruption. This is how they look at it. Or they look at it as ethnic favoritism when it comes to appointments, and they interpret it in a certain way. Or they look at something like poverty. Why I'm referring to this is this. Messages will be interpreted. When you first deliver a message, first of all, that message will be received and it will be filtered through, I mentioned it earlier, the need that somebody has on that day. Okay? Just fundamental, without anything else. How does this relate to me directly? So it's selective attention. When they've gone through that, they'll now go to the interpretation that I was speaking of. Because at the end of the day, what you're saying is the interpretation. We saw these young people in the streets. We are talking politics. You are talking change. The history of this planet shows us that the changes that have come about, when you talk about Chile, it doesn't matter what you're talking about, the pain point with fuel, whether you are talking about Egypt, the issue with baladi bread, the interpretation and the movements then that followed, it may have started as something that had an economic nature. It became political. Because the moment there's a mass movement of people against a particular issue, there'll be people speaking on behalf of these masses. Our interpretation of that immediately is political. Because those who are in power will immediately be threatened. And the power I'm speaking about, those who are in political positions, because that movement will immediately pose a threat. Now, how do you get that mental position that I'm speaking of? I'm focusing on this mental thing and I'm not moving away from it because the odious debt message is an exceedingly important message.
All right.
The information doesn't land on a blank slate. It lands on a brain that has things it's already processing, and usually it has to do with immediacy, my immediate needs. So when somebody hears something, they have to relate to it with that immediacy and say, okay, I have this and this needs and I have this and this. Then they move to interpreting it. Now interpreting it, that's where all these other factors of our identity, our history and what have you come into being, because this is the process, the filtering process this information goes through. So when you have a message, a political message, which has the potency of the message of the odious debt, how do you filter this so that, given the history that we have as a nation, and given our political formations as we have them, and the priorities that these different formations have, how does this message resonate with the people? Because the thing that we have as a commonality is the pain of not having money. That one is a commonality. Everybody feels that pain. Even those who have money feel the pain, because to make more money, other people need to have more money also for your money to continue increasing. If they don't, you will also suffer. Okay? Now, how then do you get people to understand in commonality and in unison that something as simple as debt, which was procured within our laws and which was intended for development, because that's what we're allowed to borrow for, and that money never got used for whatever it was borrowed for. Now, what then is the responsibility of the taxpayer? Who is the person who's paying this debt? What is his responsibility towards such a debt? That is the narrative of the odious debt. And then comes interpretation. 2.3 trillion is the amount that you would save immediately. It is just 200 billion short of our revenue that we collect every year. So essentially you're saying that you will immediately double your revenue. Now when you double your revenue, can you imagine the things you'd be able to do? Now, how does this message get to be understood? In the same way the message of free education in the manner it was understood, where it was clear that the moment there's free education, meaning free, meaning you don't pay, whatever you were then paying, you now have.
Yeah.
And if you have it, you can spend it. And then the government took another step. This is the Kibaki era. Made sure they were not borrowing domestically as the Uhuru government and the Ruto government have been doing. So the banks have to go to the individuals to sell their business. Suddenly people have more money. Now, this nonsense that IMF and World Bank keep telling you about austerity measures, it is utter nonsense. Somebody is limping, they need something to work, and then you're telling them, reduce what you have. How on earth is that going to help you? We need money, and you're telling us, no, you need to have less money, because that's what taxes mean. So how is the economy going to be jump-started? And these austerity measures that they keep preaching, where have they actually worked? The point is, more money needs to come into the economy, and when it does, then you'll see the changes. And there's this message of odious that seems to tell you that actually this one, before you go on to others, let's just make this money available, work with it, and then see what these are the things we're talking about. They'll actually be a lot easier. But so long as we're paying these debts and nobody's talking about what we need to do about it, then our position actually will not change. But how is that message supposed to be understood so that everybody understands it well? That's what I was saying.
Yeah, and I believe every politician who's going to come going forward in terms of asking for power in 2027 will need to do something that in biology is called feedback mechanism, whereby imefika mahali we are now saturated with the problems that we currently have. So now we'll just need someone to come and sweep it. And I believe radical ideas such as those ones being presented by Safina and probably any other political party.
Like which one?
I said probably any other political party. I don't know. I hope Wiper comes up with an idea, because we need options. Safina have already presented theirs so far. Wiper, I don't know if they have something. ODM watatuambia. Na wale wengine wote. DCP, we are yet to see what they will tell us. I hope someone will give us alternatives that actually want that will work. Yes.
People want power, and you don't get power by coming up with ideas. Sifuna addressed this very well, Edwin Sifuna, Secretary General of ODM.
Yeah.
Some people will add the embattled Secretary General of ODM. He addressing Ruto and answering, he told Ruto, look here, don't ask us what we shall do. Even you, when you came with a slogan, hustler. We are also coming with one term. We will talk about what we will do when we are in State House. That is how useless this thing is. It's about power. It's about how you get power. I've had very serious conversations with some politicians in this country, and I've told them, you miss the point. Whatever good ideas you have, you must first get power. And then we pray that once you have the power, you'll be able to implement the good things. But trying to talk about good things before you get power, they will, in fact, stand in your way of getting power. Now, without power, what you have been saying are just dreams. So, Safina Party under my friend Jimmy, and he's running with my very good friend and my son, Willis. You have to get power, state power. Now, with the state power, begin telling us the good things and implementing the good things. So the challenge is always in how do you get power, state power, under what you call legacy politics. They know how to play around with us and then get state power. Are you coming with something different other than the usual games they employ to get power? Is it possible? Yes, it is possible. Is it possible through having a conversation around the economy? No, it's not. I've repeated this. You could just buy meaty. Don't pay me. After this, just go and buy meaty.
You know, Professor, I hear you. But there's something you had said earlier, which is our reference point. And that was the term reset. In a reset. So we have the legacy political brand, and we have the new politics after the recent moment posed by the young people. And for me, where we are going to do it the economic way. And I listened to City very well, very keenly. He's seen what the message is. His challenge is, how do we make it the issue that informs the political movement so that everybody owns it at their level? He sees this as the solution to this immediate problem. That is now the campaign. Now that's a challenge to us. How do we turn this to be the campaign? And Professor, I assure you, if you keep analyzing politics using the legacy political history, we're in a new territory, we're in a new era. And that is our target. When we turn this to become the campaign issue, and Kenyans own it, no legacy politician will survive the avalanche. This will be the true Fagia what? Because right there, yes.
Willis, don't underestimate the capacity of legacy politicians to turn and change with the time. Don't.
They can adapt.
Don't. Do you remember the Kasarani meeting just before the advent of change that brought about that Section 2A? Remember that one?
Yes.
All the people who spoke before the president in unison saying, synonymously speaking about the same thing. Kani baba na mama na auntie na grandmother. Nini na nini na nini na nini na nini. In fact, moya kama ni wewe. Everybody.
Until he stood.
Then he stood. And he said he had heard. And then he said, I think you know exactly what happened. I think what we'll do, in that raspy voice of his, we'll have this Section 2A. There was a moment of silence for some 2 seconds. Pin drop silence. And then, way!
Again.
And they all became...
For me, that was a revelation like none other. Because I was watching it. It's like, are these the same people who have just been speaking?
2 minutes ago.
So you actually think that when politicians who know how to measure the mood of people and the thinking of people, because that's their bread and butter, that when they see change in a certain direction, they won't even jump to hijack the very thing.
Of course, that's a potential. That's good. If we make it the issue, that will be good. The more the merrier. But more importantly, they will have turned politics from the... Because what we are doing here, number one, in my view, the greatest gain we'll have as a people of Kenya is when we move away from personality-based politics to issue-based. If we are going to be driven by issues, and more so if it's an economic issue, to me that will be a success to the Kenyan nation.
You know how long it takes? Look at the history of how it has worked in other countries. You know, to challenge the two main parties in the UK, for people like Steele, I think he was Raila's friend, right?
He was Jaramogi's friend, actually.
Jaramogi's friend,
Yes.
and then Raila also. For them to get even a small, tiny recognition in the UK politics took quite a number of years. It's quite good to come up with ideas. You'll go everywhere, Germany, where, you know, parties that come and are built around ideas, Green Party, what have you. Qualitative politics is what you are talking about. Qualitative politics. Find yourself in a strange arena Because politics does not like logic and reason. Politics is irrational. You deal with the most irrational part of human beings. They don't want to think. People don't think politics. People feel politics. That's why it has been said by other people before me that you campaign in poetry. And then when the time to govern, you do it in prose. you want to campaign in prose. I don't know whether now you'll govern in poetry.
People will have understood.
When we were growing up, not you people, you have to know how to speak to a girl.
Yes.
It was an art.
It was not.
It was not a simple thing. It was an art.
And even letters and the way letters were
written, you have to know how to
My
write.
friend, you needed even to know how to sign off that letter
Yes.
in a way that is absolutely romantic and
Yes.
unchallenged.
Poetry. Reaching men through their hearts has never been an easy thing. Never has it been easy.
In fact, let me ask you the question. Were you at a time when you used to write letters?
No.
PO box.
Of course.
PO box
not.
in your girls.
Of course
Yes,
not.
you did.
No, I
Old
did.
workers, yes.
You did.
Yeah, we wrote letters.
You?
We wrote
Yeah,
letters.
yeah.
You wrote
PO box.
letters. How did you sign off this prospective lady that you wanted to woo to enter?
This one didn't
How
write
would you
that.
sign
You are
off?
torturing them. They are not there. Leave them alone. Leave them alone.
We are not as young as you,
I was
as we
there.
look.
Like this guy,
Yeah.
he never lived through a time even before a telephone. Amekuwa tu akiwa kijana
Anaona
akiingia
simu.
primary school aliingia na simu.
Simu, yes.
Sasa unamwambia
Hapana. How young do you guys think I am?
you have stayed
I
a
am-
few days before phones.
Let me mention a signing
After
off that was
Okay.
popular in my time. A gentleman writes a letter to a lady, okay? Post box, okay? Sealed with a lick because a kiss won't stick. Is that poetry or is it not poetry?
It is poetry.
So Safina party, and today I have advised them. I know it's for free, but in consideration of what I've said, ex gratia payment of just tea.
You need to
From
wait
here,
tea.
you go and buy us breakfast. Look here. Do not go to the shores of Lake Victoria. And it has been said again. I think it was being said about Kibaki.
Yes.
Don't go on the shores of Lake Victoria and try to talk to the fishermen about how fishing is not benefiting them. You are going to make it beneficial. People, middlemen are coming to take their fish for free. We will build you coolers. When you leave, another crook comes. He just talks and he gets all the votes. You are telling fishermen about the rational things, about the economic miracle you can make happen along the shores of Lake Victoria to enrich the people, to make them benefit from marine life around them. They don't listen to that. They want politics. Go and dance.
There was,
Go and sloganeer.
there was a change in 2002 when Kenya elected President Kibaki.
Yes.
The same way there was a change in 2022 when Kenyans elected President Ruto. What is so difficult about there being a paradigm shift or a shift or whatever you want to call it, and Kenyans elect a leader who is actually going to bring that revolution that we are talking
That's
about?
what I said.
Yeah.
You organize politically. Let me use very simple, even unfitting words. You make people drunk with the politics of the day. So that in 202 they are just saying rainbow, 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 unbogable, unbogable. If you ask them what is unbogable, Moi yote yawezekana bila Moi. So what was the logic there? And Moi was going nowhere. And I kept telling my colleagues that Moi is going nowhere. Kanu is still there. This Kibaki is a stopgap president to wait for Uhuru to mature to become president. And it happened. There is nothing. There was no reasoning. But yote yawezekana bila
Moi.
I was at Uhuru Park when they were swearing in Kibaki. Objects were flying over my head because I was at the front there to hit Moi. That is real. It's not fiction. I was right there. And therefore, in simple English, you cannot mobilize through the mind, through the intellect. You have to mobilize people to be drunk with the politics of the time. Usually, and it's a very stupid way of doing things, usually is identifying somebody and identifying him as a person responsible for all your problems. You get it?
Yeah.
Around Mount Kenya, Ruto successfully portrayed Uhuru as that enemy of the people, responsible for all the death of their business as business people. So this man must join forces with people who might be thinking Ruto is the enemy and paint him as the enemy.
Herman, can I interject just
Yes.
briefly? Yeah?
Actually, I've finished.
No. The painting Uhuru as the enemy
Yes.
would not have been effective if he had not endorsed Raila.
Yes.
And this then introduces a completely different discussion.
Yes.
Before that time and even during the endorsement and thereafter, there were those who were of the theoretical thinking that it was a setup. It seemed very far-fetched that Ruto and Uhuru had planned this.
Yes.
Okay? But then history tells you that for the longest time, Raila was somebody whose process in getting votes from central Kenya was going to hit a very low glass ceiling. It would never really be a very high ceiling. Now, there are those who argue that isn't true. Now, the truth about politics is often disappeared, if I may use a Kenyan term, when an election process takes place. So the process of now using your mind to actually analyze what actually happened over time and the enduring debate. See, and what runs roughshod over this is the thinking and the narrative for the longest time that Central Kenya don't vote for anybody other than their own. They voted in Ruto. So that narrative dented. 2002, another narrative was dented. A Luo will not vote for a Kikuyu and vice versa. The Luos voted for the Kikuyu. Narrative. Okay? But it didn't take us long to go back to factory settings. Okay? How then, given what this current president set in motion, bringing in issues, how does one build on that with issues that people can actually relate to? But unfortunately, people don't relate to hard concepts. The cognitive process I was talking about is tackled easier by sloganeering. It is tackled a lot easier by songs. It is tackled a lot easier with discussions in your mother tongue. It is tackled much easier by narratives that already meet the standards that have been set. Our own, our term. These are the things that pull people. So how do you dismantle this? Because that again, I'm back to the question about this, because what Professor Manyora is talking about is the reality of how our people relate to politics.
But with a rider that it can be changed.
Yes.
It can
be changed.
I'm not saying it can't be changed. It can be changed. The only thing I've been saying since morning, since I started here, is that it's not as easy as people might think.
Okay.
And number two, I have not seen any evidence to convince me something is being done. Maybe we need to wait until you get to a point where my friend Willis will begin doing something. Then you'll say, oh, kumbe we were running ahead of time.
Prof, did you see any evidence?
I've not seen any.
No, Vance, did you see any evidence prior to June 25th that Kenyans could self-mobilize and unite on an issue? Nobody saw that evidence.
Even the NIS was caught
No,
flat.
everybody.
Even if you were told it could happen, you would not have believed it.
I would have dismissed it. So, I hear where Prof is coming from. He's cynical and he's seeking comfort in the past. Yeah, that is the known. The known. What we are dealing with is the future. They are known. They are known. And in the fullness of time, so these are politics.
Yeah.
You know me, I've never been elected as an MCA or an MP or even contested for this position. Yeah, and now I'm aiming for the top.
I know.
Yeah. So I can't use the traditional modes of getting there. But it's true, we must break that chain now politically. We've done the economic bit.
Yes.
Kenyans are now aware economy now informs part of our political discussion. For the first time, I'm not listening to too much of tribal politics. People saying we maybe a part in the so-called united opposition are the ones who are still trying to speak that language. But majority of Kenyans are moving away from that space. People are even shying away from having a tribal conversation as part of political formation. So then it means they're looking for something else. Since 2002, our national politics has been informed by this tribe comes, form up, pair up. That has been our politics. Who gets this tribe, put them together, go and campaign. But for the first time, I'm not seeing an active tribal mobilization. In fact, people are getting shy. People are getting... No. I'm telling you my experience.
No, I'm just asking a question.
I'm answering you.
Where do you live?
I'm answering you.
Let's know that you live in Kenya.
People are getting shy.
Just say you live in Kenya.
The united opposition, you will find they still want to do it. But I have faith. It may be naive faith, as Prof may say, but I have faith that in the coming politics, this one that we are going towards, you'll see the messaging that dismantles that tribal formation. It will be the primary consideration. Still a factor, not to be ignored, but will not be the primary consideration.
Prof, correct me if I'm wrong, but in the past we have seen politicians coming to tell us, our problems, and then we decide whether we're going to vote for them. But I see a shift in that, because now come 2027, politicians will have to come to the people so that the people can tell them what exactly they need to do, so they can curate their manifestos according to what the people have said. And if that is the shift, I have a strong feeling that we might not even get it right in 2027, but we're definitely going to get it right after 2027.
You're right, absolutely right. Kenya is not the same. A bit of that happened in 2022. Some of us even didn't quite see it coming, but it happened. We are going to witness a lot more of that in 2027, 2032, and by 2037, 42, this country will be different. But for now, I'm talking about the here and the now. Because my friend says people are not organizing a long tribe. But if you look at the political map of this country, it is drawn using identity, tribal identity. We are talking about DCP. What do you call it? DCP is Mount Kenya. We are talking about things in Western Kenya. We
identity
are talking about
politics.
we are talking about the Luo part of this country. We are talking about Matiang'i and the Kisii. We are still talking about the same things. What I am saying, that despite that, there is potency in the GenZ demography. So, I had said this time I don't want to work for people for free. Sit here, Muga and I, we want to be consultants. But you see the challenge. I'm so used to talking, I end up talking for free when others are being paid. So let me just link it to you. The challenge and the trick. The challenge and the trick is to create a second demography in this country. And that is a demography that has not existed before. Because we have only had one demography, and that is tribe. We must now create a second one, which is the GenZ demography. That is a powerful demography. If you mobilize that, now those are the people to whom the things you are saying can resonate. They can discuss and have a conversation around the economy, around why there is unemployment in this country, and how to do it, and who is best suited to do it, about foreign debt, and how it has enslaved us. But you must mobilize and activate that demography.
Actually, Prof, they have already been activated. I'll tell you why. This cognitive process that I've been belaboring to talk about has a section that is referred to as accommodation. You see, for people to change the way they do things, the status quo you mentioned, there needs to be a shock.
Yes.
This unemployment thing is a shocker. Because there are so many of you, and you're talking, you realize you're all in the same position.
Yes.
And when you look forward, you can't see change coming.
Yes.
Then you have a trigger like the finance bill, and you're wondering, what on earth are these people doing? We can't even afford to live And then they want us to pay more money. Now, then comes the protest. Now, you see, that protest is a manifestation of the change that we're speaking of, because there was a UN rapporteur for youth and other issues regarding youth who came to Kenya because of that protest. They had never seen it. It had never been witnessed anywhere. Remember, these guys went with their boom boxes to protest. And the Kenyan public resonated. They were being given water. Nobody touched anybody's shop. Nothing happened. All the nonsense that happened later, now that's infiltration. Without a shadow of a doubt, that's infiltration. People, if you were traveling on the road or if you're using the expressway, you would find people with pickups, stopping their pickups because they have bought water specifically to distribute. It means the GenZ conversation had taken root. People figured these fellows are on to something good here. It actually resonated. The infiltration tells you that those in power knew. They understood. And that power that they have was threatened. They knew without a shadow of a doubt
that they had lost.
That this one, if we don't handle it in a certain way, that's it. Because had it picked momentum, remember, most protests that we have are in one or two towns. Kisumu, Nairobi, Mombasa.
Sections of Nairobi.
Then it fizzles out. This one was throughout the country, my friend. Probably not in each and every county, but was there. Now, if you have an intelligence gathering apparatus and they tell you this, you will actually look and realize, wait, this thing isn't quite what we've seen before. It was unusual. Now, you don't often need to see continuity. That spark is what you ought to focus on. Because once you see that spark, believe me, the change that you're speaking of has arrived. Now it's a manifestation of it for it to be widespread. And for people to internalize in the way that it resonates with them, for it to be that, to bring about that commonality we are speaking of. The unfortunate thing about those who oppose change is that they don't understand that by opposing it, you popularize it. It's something that they don't seem to understand. It could fizzle out if you just let it be, or just manage it gently. But the violence that you saw, that is the surest way of ensuring that what happens, they now go subterranean. You won't see them in the open. They don't need to go to Kamkunji to talk. They talk every single day.
But let's say this, and this, I'm still focusing on you. You see, to sit pretty and think they are low, like you are saying, and come 2027, they'll come in full force, is a lie.
That won't happen.
That's what I'm saying. You have to engage them politically, to activate them, because they are potential force, and that potential force must be activated. You see, into an army of voters in 2027. Remember, much as the Gen Z was a scare to all of us, we have to be conscious of the fact that the other people who are threatened did not go and sleep. They did not go and sleep. They are working on that. You have seen many of these young men already working with other legacy politicians. They have found a way of hitting at Gen Zs. Tribe has also not been left behind. Tribe and tribalism and identity politics that the city is talking about will claim a number of them. So that whereas we have 100 Luo young men, completely Gen Z in thinking and everything, you don't expect 100 of them to go to 2027 as Gen Zs with the fire and everything. 50 of them will be consumed by Luoism. You get it?
Yeah.
Another 10 will be grabbed through persuasive politics of this country. And so on and so forth. So out of 100, you may find you only have 20 or 25. An extreme minority. So what I'm talking about is how do you ensure that despite Raila, for example, being in the broad-based and fighting to have Ruto re-elected, for example. Let's work with that assumption. How do you make sure that the Gen Zs from Luo Nyanza don't buy into Raila's thinking? How do you mobilize them so that they are actually Gen Z with the Gen Z of Taita Taveta? and the Vihiga where I come from, and the Gen Z of Nyeri. Okay? So that they remain the potent force they are, a force to deliver change in this country. Because there are vagaries that will go for them. I have just told you. They are first and foremost lawyers before they become Gen Z. There will be money floating around. There are all manner of persuasive tactics that will be used by legacy politicians.
Yeah.
So what I've been saying since morning, and I must now stop, is that it's not easy, but it's doable. You must organize politically to make these people part of the movement to introduce a paradigm shift in our politics. That's what I'm saying.
How do we ensure, because that's actually a proper valid point. And we've been saying right now, are Gen Zs in Nairobi having the same thought process as Gen Zs in, say, Kericho County?
I'll tell you one thing, at least as opposed to Prof.
Yeah.
Other than just being in Nairobi, I also go to across the country, meeting different people. And when I give my feedback as to these young people, one thing that is unique to them, they seems to have created a new community. Do you know you can go to TikTok, and you find what is called TikTok Live, that may even has 500 people in different parts of the world, and they are Kenyans.
Yeah.
A TikTok Live can run from even 2 p.m. to 1 a.m. in the night. People doing their normal duties, but still participating in a conversation. I was actually shocked to find that kind, and there are many lives, not just one, many. They are talking, and they're talking their language, their issues. Most of us who are millennials and above may not be as integrated in that kind of a conversation. We don't even know it. Me, I'll come to a formal studio, use the Facebook or Twitter channels that we are used to. But there is an ongoing conversation with by these young people amongst themselves that we are not participating in. And I assure you, those people are speaking the same language.
Yeah.
In with millennials and legacy politics, ask them what is the identity of Raila Odinga. To them, they see someone who was a fighter, a champion for social justice. They remember him for his days in detention, because even his detention and his agitation was either just before they were born, or it was in their living period. They could see, they witnessed it. But you ask these Gen Zs, who is Raila? To them, his identity, they come into being when this Baba is prime minister. So you tell them a struggle, they can't relate. He was a prime minister, he's a contested for elections, and after elections is accommodated in government.
Yep.
So him is a soft life guy. So you tell them, no, this man has been detained 9 years. Where? When? All they remember, all they can relate to. They don't see him as someone who has struggled. They don't feel it. And I've asked this question so many times of these young people. They can't relate. So I'll tell you this. These young people, irrespective of where they are, they've created interconnecting networks. They share content. Go to Nairobi on Sunday. Go to the CBD. Every day, every Sunday in this city, you'll think there's a gender revolution going on. Just the number of content creators who appear between Koinange Street all the way to Parliament Road. Sheer numbers. Go to the CBD on a Sunday afternoon. You'll find no less than 20,000 young people shooting content in the streets of Nairobi. Last time, I was in Mbita. On a Sunday, I'm finding those cameras and what are they called? Those shades.
Yes, the umbrella.
The umbrella, yes. Umbrella lights. In Mbita, they're shooting content. There are more than 100. Where are they taking this content? And I've never seen them online. So it means they have their own community where they are speaking. We are ignoring that in our analysis of politics. As we are very clear, that is our target audience. In terms of how we are going to reach them and turn the message for them to own it, it's good city says we must give them identity, and they must have must feel the immediacy of their problem. That is now a campaign. That we are not going to do on radio.
Yeah.
That's a campaign.
That's now politics.
That is now politics.
A city mover will be there as a consultant.
Yeah, he'll be a consultant.
On identity.
That is now a campaign. You understand? That will be the campaign to bring them into the fold. Because what they showed us last time that we all witnessed is their impatience with legacy politics, their rejection of legacy politics. What the challenge is?
If I was Ruto, I would just be laughing. If I will defeat you people, all of you in the position.
No. Let me tell you. Prof.
I hope he doesn't hire me.
Unfortunately for Prof.
We are dead meat.
Prof. Yeah. Unfortunately for you, this Prof you are seeing here was very confident about Raila victory. He spoke like a trolley. He will speak. Kata meat. But we are here.
Speak as loudly as you spoke in court.
No. But we are here. We are here.
Here we are.
Ruto is president. Raila is not.
But Willis, does that not then point to what he's saying about our politics? And yet you're saying that these young people are the ones who we feel we are anchoring the change on. And yet, in my mind, they are untested.
No, that's the point. You see, that's the gist of my argument.
The point, actually, that the fact that they are untested.
That is the thing, that now it is our duty. The formations will now turn them. They've shown us their potential. Now
the other guys are sleeping as you go to them.
And the beauty, what I'm saying, the beauty about this is this. The beauty of it is this. They've shown you what they've rejected. And we are not saying that the other guys will just sleep. They will try to reach them. The attempt, for example, of getting Kasmuel, some of these the perceived leading lights of the young people. Has it worked? It has not worked. You know, like any movement, and they're very quick at cancelling any of the people who cross over.
That impatience that they have is showing. Now, the problem with impatience, it shows you have a short attention span. So, you know what concerns me? And where Prof's narrative makes a great deal of sense, there's a leader called Kalonzo Musyoka, okay, who has been a vice president of this country. He comes from Cumberland. There's another gentleman called Professor Kivutha Kibwana, who has stood out as a politician who even has principle and has successfully managed a county. You could actually say, people who actually went to so-called benchmark. We have another governor here in Muranga called Kangata. People speak highly of even the things he's doing, a thinker. But beyond being governor, you do not hear of such people being considered for any presidential position. The way Kenyans choose their leaders is truly not logical. There is a little logic to it. Now, I'm saying this in good faith because if that lack of logic serves the interest of your party, then you'll be very fortunate. Because there'll be a reason that they feel, not know, that is the party they ought to support and they will support it. But in terms of people of a proven track record of actually doing something you can look at and say, progressively, this is somebody who could do something greater. That doesn't seem to wash in our politics.
You know, City, what I'm struggling with, I'm telling you guys, stop analyzing politics based on past election trends. What the young people have posed to us, there's been no election since June 25th. The mistake we keep making is analyzing them using voting trends of the past. This was a reset. We've not had an election since then. Why don't we wait and see? That challenge they posed to the nation, the potency of that vote, we can only see it once it is tested now. They showed us. Just allow me to finish. It will not be. That is your wish, but it will not be.
No, it's not.
What I'm simply telling you is this. They've shown us that they can do things with so much impact than what legacy politicians have been able to do. And I started by saying, we witnessed demonstrations in this country in numbers, in impact, that have never been witnessed before in the history of the earth. When they were being organized by legacy politicians, these people delivered. They delivered far much better than the legacy politicians. They shook that system of legacy politics. Why don't you have the patience to allow them an opportunity to appear at the ballot and show you if they meant business or they are still the same the way they were.
Okay.
Because otherwise,
that is
no. It's okay. You can
fatal.
dismiss. No.
Fatal.
It can dismiss. You can dismiss them.
I'm saying it's fatal. If,
No.
If you really want, just a moment. If you really want change for this country, it will be fatal to wait and to remain and to wait and see. And I'm telling you, the most likely outcome of that waiting will be that Ruto will be sworn in for a second term.
But I'm telling you, Professor, when I say you wait and see, I don't mean
Do nothing.
do nothing.
But Prof,
Things will be done.
as it is right now,
Yes.
the president doesn't have favor amongst a large part of the population.
True.
Yeah.
100% true.
Isn't that indication enough that surely something is bound to happen in 2020?
It's not enough to
no.
make Ruto lose in 2020.
It is
There is
Isn't
enough
that
anger in the country.
indication enough?
There's enough anger in the country. One term is real. It is spread across the country, but that's not how politics works. You
One
have
term
to
the chance.
You have to translate that anger into sufficient votes to remove Ruto from power. It's not enough that people are saying one term.
Have you heard of
That
the
can
term,
remove Ruto from power.
the term of wave in our politics?
Yeah.
All right.
You have to turn this one term thing into a really rainbow movement and wave of 2002. At that point, all that will be required is a single presidential candidate. And that person will beat Ruto. And if you think people are saying one term, Ruto will go, I have very bad news.
I feel like, Professor, we're actually heading there.
Yes. If we had there,
Let me respond this thing of a single opposition candidate. You see, again, we are not internalizing where we are. In 2002, it was important to have a single opposition candidate because the system that we had then was a simple majority. Moi will win as president with 33% of the votes. The opposition combined will get 67%. The laws then provided for only a simple majority.
Yeah.
We are now operating in a different setup. It is 50% plus one. William Ruto is not competing to be the simple majority winner. He is competing to get 50% plus one of Kenyans voting for him. His competition is to get 9 million votes minimum. 9 million votes. So irrespective of what the competition is doing, he must come to the room with 9 million votes. So his task is to go and find 9 million votes. I assure you, it will be a miracle for William Ruto to get even 4 million votes. In the last election, he had 7.1 million votes. He has lost almost, at conservative estimates, 4.3 million of those votes. You're asking him to go and make it 9. Irrespective of what even the opposition can just sit quiet. If you need to tell him to run on his own, his duty will be to get 50% plus 9 million votes.
you could get 10.
He cannot.
You can get 10.
You see,
So, and to explain this, it is even in the nation's interest, if you ask me, for this particular election,
Yeah.
to have multiple candidates as opposed to a single opposition. It is in the interest. Because then you are able to mop up people to vote for these formations, and the more they are voting, even for their own formations, the more they are taking away from William Ruto. Yeah. Matiang'i running, for example, if you were to use legacy politics as a barometer, the primary loser there becomes William Ruto and Raila Odinga immediately. Why is that the problem of the young people? If you use legacy politics barometers, assuming we are doing tribal politics, that they are saying, Gachagua running, the number one loser there becomes William Ruto. So the person in problem, who in terms of the path to power, his path to power keeps narrowing every day, is William Ruto.
Never.
He is narrowing every single day and is losing
Hire me, you
opportunities.
Please hire me.
But I conclude by saying this.
You don't hire me, you are
No.
done.
It's not about hiring anybody.
City,
Because I
kazi
don't-
imepatikana.
Professor, ngoja kidogo.
the fact that the young people didn't hire you and they delivered a successful revolution, then those services may not be needed
But let me
in this political context.
but Willis, what you say may be true now. We're now discussing politics. Between now and the end of the year, my friend, is a very long time.
Extremely
in
long
politics.
time in politics.
Okay. When I say that they're an unproven lot, the Gen Zs, It is not to underestimate the ability, but I am served by history. 8 million people did not vote in the last election, registered voters. The majority were young people. This thing which has changed, because there are more people who've entered that bracket of voting. This thing which has changed, which will now galvanize them to do what they didn't do in 2022. What exactly is it? Because these are people with a short attention span.
No.
Let me also, before then you take the two.
Okay.
You say his options are narrowing. His votes are reducing by the day. Let's reduce that to the numbers and the constituencies. Ruto has lost Mount Kenya. It's the biggest loss he has.
What percentage of his vote? Contribution?
It was 47% of his
53.
It was 47% of his
53% of his
whichever
vote.
it was. I know 47, you know 53 is not quite a big difference. We are there. A big chunk, almost half. Let's use the word half. He has lost Mount Kenya votes. He will need to replace that. The next threat to William Ruto is the GenZ vote. So let's address each of those. Number one, the Mount Kenya votes. He will need to get a constituency that will wipe out the Mount Kenya loss. That he will not get from Raila Odinga. Raila Odinga will be a bonus in terms of Luo and other people. And I've been saying this thing. There's a potentially dangerous constituency that will help Ruto deal with the Mount Kenya loss. And that is a Muslim vote. It's a dangerous constituency. All he may need to do is to get a running mate from there. And you people are done.
What you mean is the northeastern vote?
Pardon?
You
mean
mean
Muslim
Muslim is much larger than
includes
the
northeastern and the larger Muslim community. Let me finish.
Okay, sorry, I thought you had finished.
Mine is to open your eyes, even if you don't pay me. So that one, once you get the Muslim vote with a promise for future, you have wiped out the loss of Mount Kenya. Then Raila just is the icing on the cake. Now let's deal with the GenZ. How will Ruto deal with GenZ? Is to mobilize GenZ. He will direct his resources at GenZ. That constituency. To create apathy, to have the Mwaka Samuels, and all manner of, to make sure the potency of that constituency is not as lethal as it will be. And to hamper the mobilization targeting them. Because mobilization is very important. They are self-mobilizing, but the moment you get into voting, people can meet to demonstrate about the finance bill and other things. But the moment something is now at stake, like the presidency, you don't expect 100 of them to remain the 100 they were. Some retreat into tribe. Where is my tribe voting? This is not far-fetched. It's real. And the infiltration of that group reduces the power, the potency, and the numbers. So that's what Ruto will be going at.
Okay.
If he gets very serious people like City Muga. So this morning, I've helped the opposition know why.
At this rate,
they have now known why it's not easy.
Someone would think I've engaged the Prof to campaign for me. Willis, is something you wanted to say?
What I want to say is this.
Yes.
You know, at the end of the day, look at it this way, Prof. William Ruto will try. When you say that you use the Muslim vote, in fact, that is a double-edged sword. Number one, that Muslim vote that you're trying to create, it cuts beyond, goes even into tribes. They are Luo Muslims. Yeah, they are GenZ Muslims who've rejected Ruto. That doesn't mean that because it's now chosen. You see, again, legacy politics. That people, you want to perpetuate that people will vote for somebody because we identify with him based on religion or on tribe. And that is what me I'm saying, that the young people are rejecting. They are creating their own new identity.
There's a new tribe.
There's a new tribe they are creating. How its political potency, we will answer that question on voting day. But also just imagine, in fact, I wish William Ruto does what Prof is advising him to do. Because then he'll be trying to create an identity, a religious identity as the basis of the campaign. You know, there's a response to every action. there must be a reaction.
There is, Willis, but waiting for the
It has helped
voting day to
Raila.
come in this
It
stage.
has helped Raila in the past.
I'm telling you, but
You are once a campaign manager of Raila.
I have. You know, I never want to discuss my. I never like discussing my former boss.
Yeah.
I never like discussing my former boss.
It is a wise position to have.
Yes, I don't discuss my former boss because he gave me an opportunity to also learn these things, and I'm just building on what I learned.
But
Yes.
you learned that the
Campaign.
Muslim really supported him.
They supported him.
Over
That's a
the years.
fact. That's a fact. But I also understand
Yes.
how William Ruto because by the time you say William Ruto is trying to now create a Muslim voting bloc, it tells you how his options are narrowing.
Yeah.
No,
That is not. No, it is
Expanding.
no. They are narrowing.
they're expanding.
He had a working. You know, if you had a working, if the machine was working, that now you are trying to change the spanners to come with something new
Yeah.
that has not been tested. It tells you you're running out of options, and even that one will fail. But I conclude by saying this:
Yes.
Safina Party is 30 years old. It's 30 years of economic liberation,
Okay.
and as we believe, we are fighting for the economic liberation of this nation.
All right. Gentlemen, thank you so much. We've come to the end of the show. Professor Herman Manyora, thank you so much for being such a sport and being here. Wakili Willis Otieno, asante tena sana for coming through.